Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Fighting for here and declare your independence. And me, Ernest Hancock. You know, another independence declaring kind of guy, Butler Schaefer, law professor, Southwestern University in Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, he's the mentor and was the law professor of my partner in the Freedom Summit, Mark J. Victor. That's how I know Butler for a long time. He's been a regular at the Freedom Summit. You always got to have Butler there, because he's going to explain it to you. And this is, that's one thing I always like talking to you about, get kind of a progression as we get into the next cycle of students. And you have them coming in. Has their mindset changed? Are they less supportive of the state? Are they starting to get it? Or the conversation's getting more interesting? Tell me about that.
I find more and more of them are interested in going beyond the superficiality of what you see on newscasts and so forth. And I think that the reason for it, and Ron Paul had stated it very well, he said that the government hasn't done anything else, that the government schools haven't done anything else, have at least taught these kids arithmetic. And they can figure out that this just isn't working. It's no accident that when you talk about these kind of Ron Paul supporters, the Tea Party supporters, and so forth, it's the young kids. It's not the old geezers with the old World War II baseball caps on and so forth. The McCain supporters and people like that. The young kids who realize what they're up against, and they're very very interested in that. And it's what you were talking about in terms of the TSA stuff and the police response. I think what is happening is that the system has learned to expect responses from us kind of radical types who go out and, march and write stuff in newspapers and on blog sites and websites and so forth. They expect all that. But now they're losing just the regular, ordinary people. Housewives and guys who have to travel for their work and so forth. When you start seeing the pictures of nuns and 3-year-old girls so being felt up by a bunch of TSA gropers, there comes a point where I think where people just say that's enough. I remember a number of years ago when the state of Wisconsin, I think it was trying to get all of the Amish children rounded up and sent to government schools. And the Amish, of course, have their own system of education, which works very well for their culture. And there was this one photograph that was very poignant, showing a sheriff's deputy with a shotgun chasing a bunch of small Amish children through a cornfield to try and load them onto a bus. And that was powerful. That was a powerful image. And I think this is beginning to show up on the internet. People going through this stuff, and they don't like it. It's not. This is not. I've heard many people say, I'd rather take my chances with any terrorists, if there are any out there. I'd rather take my chances with them than with this kind of nonsense.
Wow. I don't think people really understand how bad this is going to get. And I was kind of hoping that maybe I know you don't like making predictions and so on, but can you kind of walk us through what the next stages are? What
I think it's going to expand. I think that the airport is just going to be the first step in this. Pretty soon you're going to be having these kinds of searches at shopping malls and any place else that people gather, because it has the effect of doing two things. One, you have large numbers of people around who are going to both be affected by this and also be subjected to it. And it goes back to the point that Frankel and others have made about how the dehumanization, the depersonalization of people is really essential to this kind of rule. And the capacity of the state to maintain its system of control is really diminishing. It's going down. Our world is becoming increasingly decentralized, and so in place of the vertical power structure that they've operated for many years, we're now getting horizontal networks of people in a variety of settings. Homeschooling and alternative education, alternative health care, information systems across the internet that are not based upon the top-down, we will tell you what you need to know kind of an approach. And the system is losing it. And you're seeing, as I said before, the secession movements and nullification movements abounding, and the state is going to, and the political establishment is going to have to respond to that, and they respond the way they always respond, which is through violence. And you have to remember, when you're talking about a basic definition of political systems, the state is defined, even political scientists will agree upon this. It's an entity with a monopoly on the use of violence or force, depending upon your choice of words, but it's a monopoly on the use of violence within a given territory. And when people begin to say, no, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, this should be off limits and so forth, that monopoly on violence tends to diminish, and they just can't have it.
In our conversation with the Phoenix Play, it probably went on for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. No, it started at 10, and it was afternoon, so it was over 2 hours. There was a point at which one of the officers and the supervisors said, after we discussed what we were going to do and questions that we had, they asked for a break. And they went out for probably at least 20 minutes outside, and I don't know what phone calls they were making and so on. They had to regroup on this one. It wasn't going the way they thought. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to just, I knew what they were trying to do. We're the authority, and this is what, and we're going to do this, and if you, and that kind of thing. And the confrontation prevention squad that I had dealt with before, I'm going, now how this is going to go. I just want to make sure, I have anything to do with it. I just knew this was going to happen. And Students for Liberty have already had 70 people that are going to be signed up. They're going. And I'm going, this could be hundreds. How are you going to ID everyone? Are you going to? And I guarantee there's going to be some kids that are just going to go, I'm not IDing myself. I mean, what? And then you're going to, what? What are you going to do? And so it kind of devolved there for a little bit, and then it kind of got to where I think they realized that their interests were best served by being professional and nice, and we'll see what we can work out, because they were trying to put it on somebody. And the mistake that the Campaign for Liberty girl, she started, well, we're going to do this, and the group is that, and they love groups. Oh, you got to get a permit. And what you
got to do is get to the head of the group.
Well, what they did is yesterday, one of the activists here called asking about permits for this, and they said, if you get a permit, we need to have everybody that's going, their name, address, and if you have one more person come or one fewer person come than you have, your permit is null and void. Mm-hmm. This is what's going on. And we're going to get more from Butler Schaefer at the freedomsummit.com. Go there and you'll say, hey, Butler, thanks for coming on, man. It's always great to talk to you. I really look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And I can't think of a better time in the recent years to have a Freedom Summit and what's going on in the world right now.
Oh, you bet. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.